Hello, my friends. Have you ever found yourself standing at the refrigerator, just grabbing some leftovers from the day before and eating them right there at the counter? Or perhaps you turn on the television the moment you wake up and you just let it run all day, mostly to keep the house from feeling so quiet. These small, seemingly harmless moments feel like a normal part of living alone. But in my 30 years as a family doctor, serving this community, I have witnessed a quiet, alarming truth. It is precisely these safe routines that become silent traps capable of stealing 5, 10, even 15 years of your vibrant, healthy life. And today, I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. The greatest threat to your well-being in your later years isn't a sudden illness or even a bad fall. It is the slow, gradual shrinking of your world, happening right inside the four walls of your own home. I'll never forget my patient, John, a brilliant retired engineer. When I first saw him, he insisted he was just fine, but in reality, his entire world had shrunk to the size of his recliner and the TV remote in his hand. He had, without realizing it, built walls around himself. Now, John's story took a turn for the better, but it serves as a powerful warning for us all. In this video, we're going to walk through 10 of these invisible traps together. More importantly, for each one, I will give you a simple, cost-free key to unlock it, helping you reclaim your joy and your independence. And please be sure you stay with me until the very end, because the 10th trap we'll discuss is one that very few people talk about. But in my experience, it marks the true difference between simply getting older and truly living fully. Everything I'm sharing today doesn't come from a textbook. It comes from thousands of conversations with patients just like you. These are real lessons from real lives. Before we begin, I truly want to know how many of us have faced this. If what I've just described feels familiar, if you've ever felt that subtle quiet creeping in, please comment with a simple yes below. It lets me know that you understand, and it shows others they are not alone in this. All right, let's get started. All right, let's dive into our very first hidden trap. Trap number 1, avoid making every meal a chore. Trap number 1, avoid making every meal a chore. We've all been there. You open the refrigerator, you're not particularly hungry, and you just grab whatever is easiest. Maybe it's a handful of peanut butter crackers, or you decide to eat some leftover soup cold right out of the container over the kitchen sink. It seems harmless, just a simple shortcut on a day when you don't have much energy. But as your doctor, I can tell you that something much deeper and more dangerous is happening in that moment. You see, our brains are wired to see a meal as a small ceremony, a reward, when we take even a few minutes to put food on a proper plate and sit down. Our brain receives a powerful signal that says, you are worthy of this time. You are worth the effort. When we eat thoughtlessly out of a can or over the sink, we are sending the exact opposite signal. It's a quiet whisper that says, I'm not worth it. Over time, that whisper becomes a belief. Why does this trap become so common as we get older? Well, the reasons are perfectly understandable. Our energy levels aren't what they used to be. Maybe our sense of taste and smell has changed. And frankly, cooking a whole meal for just one person can feel, well, lonely and pointless. This slowly leads to that nagging, unexplained fatigue. You might notice your pants feeling a little looser without trying, and there's a general sense that the color has faded from your day. This isn't just aging. This is a form of quiet malnutrition, not just of the body, but of the spirit. I think of my patient, a wonderful man named Robert, a retired carpenter. He could build a beautiful cabinet with his eyes closed, but after his wife passed, the kitchen became foreign territory. The effort just stopped. One afternoon, I stopped by his house for a visit and found him eating cold vegetable soup right from the can with a spoon. He gave me a little grin as if to say it was no big deal, but I could see the weariness in that habit. Later that week, I asked him to help me with a wobbly shelf at my place. Afterwards, I serve something incredibly simple. A grilled cheese sandwich on rye, a bowl of hot tomato soup, and a cold beer. Nothing fancy. But he stopped after the first bite, looked down at the plate, and then looked at me with a smile I hadn't seen in years. He said, "You know, this feels like something again." And that right there is the secret. That is the solution. It's not about cooking gourmet meals. It's about honoring yourself. So tonight, I'm asking you to do one small thing. Whatever you eat, put it on a real plate, sit down at the table, turn off the TV, maybe play a little music you love. Please start today. Begin treating yourself like the honored guest in your own home. Because when you find joy in your food again, you start to find more joy in life itself. Trap number 2, avoid making the television your roommate. The second trap is one that creeps into our lives so quietly. We often don't notice it until it's taken over. It's the habit of making the television your constant companion. Your roommate. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a good show. Of course, but there's a profound difference between watching television and letting it fill every empty moment of your day. From a medical standpoint, when the TV is always on, your brain never gets a chance to truly rest, to think, to dream, or even to just be quiet. It provides a constant stream of low-level stimulation that prevents deeper thought and reflection. It becomes what I call a counterfeit companion. It gives you the illusion of company, the sound of voices and laughter. But it asks for nothing in return. And more importantly, it gives nothing real back. This becomes especially tempting in our later years, when the house suddenly feels too empty after a spouse has passed or after the busy noise of a career has faded into retirement. That silence can feel deafening. The TV becomes an easy way to push it away. The most common symptoms I see from this are days that blend together, a lost sense of time, and a nagging feeling of being busy all day while having accomplished nothing. You've spent hours with characters on a screen, but you haven't truly lived your own life. I went through a stretch myself where I left it on from morning until night, telling myself it was just background noise. In reality, I was avoiding the silence. The turning point for me was deciding to treat my television like a guest I've invited over for a specific movie or show. When it's over, the guest goes home, I turn it off. The silence was strange at first, but soon that quiet space began to fill up with other things. Reading, humming an old tune, even just sitting with a cup of tea and my own thoughts. So, here is my simple prescription for you. For just one day this week, make a conscious choice to only turn the TV on for a specific program you truly want to see. When it's over, press the off button, reclaim your time, reclaim the quiet. Stop letting someone else's script run your day. It's time to start writing your own again. Trap number 3, don't let the front door become a wall. Trap number 3, don't let the front door become a wall. This next trap is one of the most physically and emotionally isolating things I see in my practice. It's when the front door of your home, which was once a bridge to the world, slowly, almost invisibly, transforms into a wall. It starts for simple reasons. Maybe the winter weather makes the steps slippery, or some aching knees make a walk around the block feel like a marathon. With groceries, prescriptions, and almost anything else available for delivery, it becomes easier and easier to just stay inside. Here's the hidden danger in that convenience. Our bodies and minds are designed for connection with the outside world. Sunlight, for example, is our primary source of vitamin D, which is crucial not just for our bones, but for regulating our mood. Even small random interactions like waving to a neighbor or saying hello to the mail carrier exercise the social parts of our brain. When we cut these things off, our world literally gets smaller, and that outside world can start to feel far away and a little scary. The symptoms are often a growing sense of anxiety, a feeling of being disconnected, and a quiet, persistent loneliness that no delivery service can cure. I think of my neighbor, a lovely woman named Mrs. Johnson, who lives in the little white house with the overgrown roses. After her husband died, she rarely came out. We all just assumed she preferred her privacy. But one spring morning, she just opened her door to let the fresh air in. She took one step out onto her porch in her bare feet, and as the sun hit her face, a neighborhood kid rode by on his bike and yelled a cheerful, "Hi, Mrs. Johnson." She told me later that this tiny moment, this simple connection, was the first thing that had made her truly smile in months. That little moment was her turning point. It wasn't a big trip or a major event. It was just opening the door. So, my challenge to you is almost impossibly simple. Tomorrow, you don't have to go anywhere. Just open your front door for 5 minutes. Stand there, feel the air, listen to the sounds of the neighborhood. It's a small declaration that you are still here and you are still part of this world. If you believe that a little fresh air can change your whole perspective, please take a moment and comment with the word "breathe" below to encourage others to do the same. Trap number 4, avoid saying "I'm too old for that." Trap number 4, avoid saying "I'm too old for that." Of all the traps we'll discuss, this one might be the most powerful because it's a prison we build for ourselves with just 6 simple words. I'm too old for that. We say it about learning a new skill, trying a new food, or visiting a new place. We say it so often that we start to believe it's a fact, like our height or our eye color. But I am here to tell you as your doctor that those 6 words are almost always a disguise for something else. Fear. It's the fear of looking silly, the fear of being the oldest one in the room, the fear of failing, or the fear of getting hurt. What's happening in the brain is fascinating. Science has shown us that our brains have a miraculous ability to grow and change at any age, a concept called neuroplasticity. Learning something new is the best exercise for your mind, creating new pathways and keeping your thinking sharp. When we say, "I'm too old," we are actively shutting down that natural process. The main symptom of this trap is a life that starts to feel like a rerun of the same old show. The curiosity we had as children fades, and we resign ourselves to the belief that our best days are behind us. Let me tell you about William, a 78-year-old man I know who lives out in Colorado. Last year, he decided he wanted to try paddleboarding. His kids thought he was crazy. The first few times, he fell in, lost his sunglasses, and probably swallowed half the lake. But he kept at it. I asked him why, and his answer was pure gold. He said, "Doc, I figured I was old enough not to care what people thought and young enough to give it a try." William understood the truth. Failing at something new is infinitely better than succeeding at doing nothing. His story isn't about paddleboarding. It's about refusing to let his age define his potential. So, your task is not to go try paddleboarding unless you want to. It is much smaller. This week, do one tiny new thing. Listen to a genre of music you've never heard before on the radio. Try one new simple recipe for dinner. Drive a different route home from the grocery store. Stop putting a period at the end of your life sentence. It's time to add a comma. Trap number 5, don't let your bedroom become your universe. Trap number 5, don't let your bedroom become your universe. The 5th trap we're going to discuss is something I see happen very gradually. It's a slow migration where your vibrant, multi-room home begins to shrink until your entire universe is contained within the 4 walls of your bedroom. It starts innocently. You bring in a small television, then a comfortable chair. Then you start keeping snacks and books on the nightstand. Before you know it, the living room is gathering dust. The dining table is just a place to put the mail. And you are essentially living in a single room. From a medical perspective, this is a double threat. First, your brain learns to associate your bedroom with all activities: eating, entertainment, and worry, not just with sleep. This is a primary cause of insomnia and poor sleep quality in older adults, as the brain no longer knows how to shut off when you get into bed. Second, by confining yourself to one room, you drastically reduce your daily movement. This leads to muscle stiffness, poor circulation, and a faster decline in mobility. It feels easier, but it's making your body older, faster. Why does this happen as we age? It's driven by a desire for convenience and energy conservation. It simply feels like less work. But the symptoms that follow are a loss of energy, restless nights, and a strange feeling of being a stranger in your own home. I must confess this happened to me after I retired. I slowly moved my life into my bedroom, like a bear preparing for a long hibernation. It was comfortable, but I felt my energy and my mood getting smaller along with my living space. I had to make a conscious choice to reclaim my home. I started with one small rule: coffee is only for the kitchen. Then I moved my reading chair back next to the living room window. My advice to you is to start with one simple rule. Perhaps it's no meals in the bedroom, or I will spend 1 hour each day in a different room. Let your home be an extension of your life, not a comfortable cage. Re-inhabit your own space. Let your home serve all of you, and don't become a prisoner in one room of it. Trap number 6. Don't assume routine equals boredom. Trap number 6. Don't assume routine equals boredom. Now, this next trap, trap number 6, might sound a little counterintuitive. We are often told to break the routine to keep life exciting, but I have found that for many people living alone, the real trap is the exact opposite. It's the lack of a routine. It's the belief that having a schedule is the same as being in a rut. Here's the truth from a neurological perspective. A gentle, predictable routine is one of the kindest things you can do for your brain. It reduces something called decision fatigue, when you don't have to spend mental energy deciding when to wake up, what to do first, or when to eat. You free up that precious energy for more creative and joyful things. A good routine doesn't trap you. It provides a stable foundation from which you can confidently face your day. This becomes critically important after retirement. The built-in structure of a job vanishes, and days can begin to feel formless and without purpose. This often leads to feelings of being adrift, a lack of motivation, and a sense that you aren't in control of your own time. A simple routine is the anchor that stops you from drifting. I'll always remember my Uncle Robert. He was an old army man with the soul of a poet. For 40 years, he woke up at the same time, made his coffee, and then sat by the window to watch the birds for exactly 10 minutes, every single day. I once asked him why. He told me, "No matter what else happens, I can count on the coffee and I can count on the birds." That was his anchor. So, I'm not asking you to schedule every minute of your day. I'm asking you to create one small anchor, just one. It could be 5 minutes of gentle stretching when you get out of bed. It could be doing the daily crossword puzzle with your morning tea. A small, dependable ritual that says, "A new day has officially begun." I'm curious to know what's your anchor, or what could it be? Share your morning routine in the comments below. You might just inspire someone else. Trap number 7. Don't ignore your reflection. Trap number 7. Don't ignore your reflection. This 7th trap is a delicate one, but it is deeply important for our sense of self. The trap is this: to slowly stop looking at your own reflection in the mirror. I'm not talking about a quick glance while brushing your teeth. I'm talking about truly seeing yourself. It's the habit of thinking, "Well, who's going to see me anyway?" and letting that thought give you permission to stop caring about your appearance. This is not about vanity. This is about dignity. There is a powerful psychological connection between how we present ourselves on the outside and how we feel on the inside. When we take a moment to comb our hair, put on a clean shirt, or wear a favorite piece of jewelry, we send a direct message to our brain: I am here. I am present. I matter. When we stop doing these things, we begin to feel invisible even to ourselves. The core reason this happens when we live alone is the lack of social feedback. We lose the daily motivation of heading to an office or meeting friends. The symptoms are subtle but corrosive. a slow erosion of self-esteem, a feeling of being faded, and a gradual acceptance of a version of yourself that you don't quite recognize. I once knew a gentleman named Charles who had a wonderful twinkle in his eye and a perfectly kept mustache. He told me quite profoundly that the day he stopped really looking in the mirror was the day he started to disappear. The twinkle faded first, not from age, but from neglect. He had stopped showing up for himself. So my medical advice today is simple, and it comes from the heart. Tomorrow morning, even if you are not going anywhere, get dressed for the day. Put on something that makes you feel good. A favorite color, a comfortable sweater, a string of pearls. It's a 5-minute act of self-respect. It's a way of looking your own reflection in the eye and saying, "You are still here, and you are worth it." Dress for the most important person who will see you today. Trap number 8. Avoid becoming the invisible neighbor. Trap number 8. Avoid becoming the invisible neighbor. This next trap is about the space just beyond your front door. It's the danger of slowly becoming an invisible neighbor. You might live on a street for 20, 30, even 40 years, but a subtle shift happens. You stop sitting on the front porch. You pull your car into the garage and close the door quickly. You assume no one wants to be bothered. And in turn, your neighbors assume you want to be left alone. It's a quiet, mutual misunderstanding that results in a profound sense of isolation. From a health and safety perspective, this is incredibly risky. Your neighbors are your first line of defense in an emergency. They are the ones who will notice if your newspapers are piling up or if your lights haven't been turned on. A study from the Journal of Gerontology found that strong neighborhood ties are a significant predictor of longevity, even more so than some family relationships. When you become invisible, you lose that vital safety net. This often happens as we age because we start to feel like we might be a burden, or we simply don't have the energy for social events like we used to. The symptoms are a deep feeling of being disconnected from your own community, a sense that the world is moving on without you, and an increased vulnerability during emergencies like a power outage or a bad storm. I'll never forget a man on my street, Mr. Thompson. He was a ghost, kept to himself, never waved. We all just thought he was a private man. Then one summer, the power went out for the whole block. I decided to walk over with a flashlight just to check on him. He opened the door, and in the dim light, he told me that mine was the first knock he'd had on his door in over 2 years. 2 years. He thought we didn't want to bother him, and we thought he didn't want to be bothered. That moment stayed with me. You don't have to host a block party. The solution is much smaller. The next time you walk to your mailbox, if you see a neighbor, just give a simple nod and a small smile. That's it. It's a signal. A small crack of light that breaks through the wall of invisibility. You are a vital part of your neighborhood story. Don't let your corner of the world be a blank page. Trap number 9. Don't turn memories into a museum. Trap number 9. Don't turn memories into a museum. Trap number 9 is one of the most difficult to navigate because it deals with the heart. It's the trap of allowing your home to become a museum for your memories instead of a home for your present life. Our memories are precious treasures, but when every surface, every room becomes a shrine to the past, the air grows heavy, and it becomes almost impossible for new life and new memories to find any space to breathe. Psychologically, living in a museum to the past keeps your mind tethered to what you've lost, making it incredibly difficult to engage with the present. It's a form of living in a constant state of grief where every object serves as a reminder of an absence. It's one of the primary reasons people get stuck and find it hard to move forward after a major life change. The key symptom is a home that feels more like a memorial than a place of comfort and life. It can feel heavy. I once visited a patient, a wonderful woman named Elizabeth. Her home was beautiful, filled with wedding photos, her late husband's favorite chair, and letters from decades ago. One room was left exactly as her husband had it, untouched for years. She confessed to me with tears in her eyes that it felt more like she was the caretaker of a museum than the resident of a home. We talked, and she mentioned she had always wanted to try watercolor painting. Slowly, she began to make a change. She didn't throw anything away. Instead, she carefully packed some items into a beautiful memory box. She kept his favorite photo on the wall, but she moved his chair and set up a small table with her paints by the window. She made room for a new chapter without erasing the old one. Your history deserves to be honored, but it should not keep you from living. Your memories are meant to be carried in your heart, not to become bars on a cage. So, I invite you to do one small thing. Choose one small space, a tabletop, a shelf, and clear it. Put just one thing there that represents today or tomorrow. A new plant, a new book. Make a little space for the future. This is a hard one. If you've ever had to make a similar, difficult choice to move forward, please show your support for others by commenting with the words "moving forward" below. Trap number 10. Avoid thinking you finished growing. Trap number 10. Avoid thinking you finished growing. And now we arrive at our final trap. The 10th, and in my opinion, the most fundamental trap of all. It's the quiet belief that you are finished, that your time for growth, for learning, for adventure is over. It's the myth that life after a certain age is just maintenance, a waiting game. This is the most dangerous trap because the moment you believe there is nothing left to learn is the moment your world begins to truly close in. Our brains are designed to be curious, to learn, to adapt, to explore. This is the very essence of what keeps us vital and engaged. The principle of use it or lose it applies more to our minds than to any other part of our body. When we stop being curious, we stop creating new neural pathways. The world doesn't just feel smaller, it literally becomes smaller in our minds. The symptom of this trap is boredom, a lack of purpose, and the heavy feeling that your story has already been written. But I have seen firsthand that this is a lie. I have a patient, James, who at 82 years old started learning French on his computer just so he could surprise his daughter-in-law on her birthday. I have another, Susan, who at 77 picked up an iPad for the first time and started creating the most beautiful digital art. They are not exceptions. They are examples of what is possible when you refuse to believe the story's over. Growth isn't reserved for the young. It is reserved for the curious. So, here is my final and perhaps most important piece of medical advice for you today. You don't need to learn a new language or become an artist. The action is much simpler. Just ask why. Again, be curious. Go on YouTube and type in a question you've always wondered about. Why is the sky blue? What is the best way to grow tomatoes? Spend just 10 minutes learning something, anything new, because you are not finished. You are not just a collection of memories. You are a living, breathing work in progress. Your greatest adventure, your most important chapter might just be the one you are about to begin. Conclusion. As we come to a close, I want to bring us back to my patient. John, the retired engineer I mentioned at the beginning, the man whose world had shrunk down to the size of his favorite armchair, the traps we talked about today, turning meals into a chore, letting the TV become a roommate, allowing the front door to become a wall. John had fallen into almost all of them. But today, John is thriving. He joined a local community garden club. He says getting his hands in the dirt reminds him of being a kid again. And the best part, he started cooking for himself again. Nothing complicated. But he told me with that same twinkle in his eye that I saw in my patient Charles, that rediscovering the simple joy of caring for himself has made all the difference. John's story and every lesson we've walked through today all point to one simple, powerful truth. Living alone does not have to mean living less. It means you hold the power, the choice to make each day a day worth living with purpose and with dignity. These small, simple keys I've given you can unlock a fuller, More vibrant life right where you are? Knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, as we finish our time together, I have one important question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself this week after watching this video? It could be as simple as I will use a real plate for dinner, or I will open my front door for 5 minutes. Please share your personal commitment in the comments below. Your promise will not only help you, but it will truly inspire others in our community to take that first brave step. And if you found real value and comfort in our time together today, please show your support by giving this video a like to ensure you continue on this journey with us and never miss another video full of wisdom to help you thrive. Hit that subscribe button. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community of friends all dedicated to living our best lives together. Finally, think of one person, a friend, a neighbor, a family member who needs to hear this message today, and please share it with them. You never know whose life you might touch. Thank you for being here with me. Stay healthy, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.